the question, can certain aspects of learning autonomy be questions to decide beforehand? Then possibly answer that as well.
Thank you very much. Those of you who are coming in, we've made non-autonomously groups of 5 chairs. It's completely authoritarian. We want you to sit in groups of 5 approximately. And that's why you put the chairs that way, in a circle. So please find a circle and sit in one. I think there's still 2 chairs left.
Yeah.
Nothing autonomous about it. You can see what happens. As soon as you get the chairs out of rows, the students start misbehaving. You've also just been given 1 or 2 photocopies. I know one at least is the Japanese Curricular, which is not something we're going to be talking about right now.
No,
but it was something.
We needed 200
right.
Japanese papers.
Right. So we just wanted to start by saying thank you for inviting us. And thank you for such fantastic organization of the conference too. We're quite impressed. This is, thank you Lenny also for introducing yesterday all the history of the autonomy conferences. I think we weren't the only ones to be going back and thinking which ones was I at, which ones did I make it to. And in fact this is for both of us, our first one since the one we organized, unfortunately, since we organized Infinity Bank. Unfortunately we couldn't get to the 2 in the middle.
It shows how hard work it is.
Yeah. But we've taken note that there's another one in 2015 in Copenhagen, and which we hope to get to this time.
You have to.
We've got our title up there, and certain aspects of learner autonomy we consciously decided beforehand. However, what we want to start with is not the title, but a subtitle. The relationship between a crisis of butterfly metamorphosis and learner autonomy. That's our subtitle, okay? So our question is, what relationship do you see among the 3 elements of this subtitle? And we put you in groups because we'd like you to, in your groups of 5, talk about this for about 3 minutes.
And right.
Yes. Right, in groups for 3 minutes. And please write your ideas, 1% of the group.
After the coffee, That's the only one that is missing.
Excuse me. Good morning. Excuse me. We haven't got the whole day for this, I'm sorry.
What a shame.
We show you, well, first of all, thank you very much to organizers for organizing this. And it is a great pleasure to be within the contaminated family. Because believe it or not, we are all contaminated. So, and again, I mean, coming back to the Basque country is again coming back home for me, because I've been in connection with the Basque country for years now, 10 years now, coming more or less every month. Well, we show you what we found and see if that coincides. Okay? Do you recognize any of them? You like the imbalance? Yeah, of course. That's it. And we will add your opinions. Once we receive them, we will add them, and they will appear in the publication. Okay? So we will collect and find if it's just the same idea. Okay, we'll skip it. But if it's just different, we will add it. So that is your space.
But that's why we're asking for a secretary in each group, is let us have the secretary, the group's paper at the end of the session.
Right. One of the things that we would like to show is just, and this idea comes from this book called La Buena Crisis from Alex Rovira. I read it there and said, why not learn autonomy? And that's it. So what happens if we cut the chrysalis of the butterfly, just being the mother hen, why not helping the butterfly to emerge? You know what happens? What does happen if you break the chrysalis and you abort all the suffering, all the crisis of the butterfly before emerging? You know what happens? The butterfly wouldn't fly. It will die. So, learners, if you want the learners to be protected by the mother hen, or you, they wouldn't fly. Okay? So, crisis. Sometimes yesterday it was mentioned, I mean, how should I do this? How should I do that? It is impossible. Do you remember the word? What happens if your brain receives the message that something is impossible? It will believe it. It will believe it. So, please don't tell your brain constantly it is impossible. Otherwise, it will believe in that. So, why not saying there are many alternatives? And one of them didn't work, but the others can work. See? Why not? We change that aspect. Okay? Oh, yes, sorry.
Forget on YouTube.
I was so concentrated.
We wanted to go back to our main title for a minute now. Can certain aspects of autonomy be conscious decided beforehand? And what we'd like to do is look at conscious decisions to make an activity more or less autonomous. And what we've done is bring an activity that is from a textbook. And I think that's quite relevant considering that the idea of yes textbook, no textbook has come up more than once in just the day and a half we've had so far. And also the point that sometimes we have to use a textbook, not because we want to, but because in the circumstances in which we're teaching, we have no other choice. So what we'd like you to do, this is the activity. This is not what we're asking to do. This is what the activity from the textbook says. Work in pairs, interview your partner for 3 minutes, find out information about your partner's life, about your partner's work studies, where your partner learned English, any other interesting information, and it's from this quite modern textbook. What we'd like you to do is, in your group, ask yourselves, how can you make this activity more or less autonomous, activating one of the 25 boxes of the handout that Jose just gave you in your groups. And we'll ask you to work for about 8 minutes, and then we'll ask you for your suggestions of how you could change this activity in a class to make it more or less autonomous.
I'm just going to show the activity again. With these 25 boxes, which they all grew, I brought 7 to the last country, and they are now 25, thanks to the contribution of the Basque teachers. So, from now onwards, you cannot say, I cannot activate learner autonomy. You've got 25 roads to go. So every time you say, it is impossible, and say, why don't you apply the proverb, the Chinese proverb, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. So you've got 25 steps, please. And within each step, you've got many other steps. So please, go into one. Once you start moving one, the rest will move. That is exactly what happens. Yesterday we were saying, remember Carmen, that once you go into autonomy, you can't go back. You can't go back. That is one of the reasons we are all here. So, start the activity. Look for one alternative.
Find out these questions themselves, that this is where they become relevant. Yeah, see what I'm saying?
So you can use this because now you can communicate with somebody in a stranger or whatever, and it's really at the same time what's impossible, and that's new for students because writing is not a skill they are practicing now until school, but it's typing every so they can do that, or they can even prescribe.
Thank you. This is one of the ways we both stop small group work now. Instead of what Jose did before, trying to get over your voices with his voice, something like this is, silent on your part, but the students learn how to do it. Anyway, some responses from some groups about how you thought you could change this activity to make it more autonomous. We assume nobody tried to make it less autonomous.
A small change will make the change. So if you add something different, that is...
Firstly, it probably depends on the level of the class. I mean, I've taught teenagers for a long time, and I'm talking about teenagers at a very good level. The rest of that year.
Please, wait a second.
Sorry. I think, first of all, it probably depends. I mean, my experience is teaching teenagers for a long time, bachiller, from first of SO up to second of bachiller. And what I tend to do, because I probably know the students, I wouldn't even open the book, I'd just say, if there was someone in front of you, you create the questions yourself. What would you want to know from that person? Because they get especially in secondary education, they get asked after summer break, what did you do in the summer? And we ban that because it's not the right question. So if they create the right question, they're going to get the right answer. So that's what I would do in that situation.
Changed box 13.
Oh, I don't know
Box
what
of teachers are learning.
Yeah, and also following on from that, if they know each other very well, they don't necessarily have to say the truth. You can actually answer. You don't have to tell someone the truth.
And also you have changed the degree of autonomy. So
Okay.
the autonomous are more autonomous that if you give them the questions,
Yes.
so they can create something.
Yes, so that's what,
So-
in that situation, in a teenage situation, who are not particularly, they've seen these type of textbooks year after year after year, so they're not interested in those questions.
If you
Okay.
start moving two boxes, you might start moving the multiple intelligences and basic competencies, and that is a chain. Everything will move from there.
More suggestions from another group somewhere?
Yeah, okay. We also found, can you hear me?
Yeah.
You are so close to me.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we also found it rather difficult. We started with 16, so how do they find a partner? And do they interview more than one partner or just one partner? Then we moved on to 17, maybe they get more time, so they can interview more than one person. And then we also moved on to number 10, so can they change the questions or not, etc. So more heuristic.
There's no one.
We could change the setting out of school if the pupils are in kind of an international context, so at home they can Skype with their partners and prepare questions. So this is also face-to-face, not face-to-face, but at the same time.
Right. So we change medium. Another one? Another group?
Some other group?
We had before this the same.
Yeah. Another one?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
We had
I didn't know.
a need. There should be a need.
I don't know if you need, if you see the relationship among all the 25 boxes. We promise that once you start moving, that is the whole course anyhow. Once you start moving one single step, you start moving the rest. And you see all the connections. So I move this, so I move that, so I move that, and I move the following. So you activate the 25 boxes all together. With one single decision, you will start moving the rest. We've got the whole version, of course, with all the information, but we wanted to give you just the skim of that, you see. And we will include this in the article, anyhow, we are going to write. But because it's been, we've been collecting ideas for 7 years now. So, but we didn't want to contaminate you with all these ideas without creating your own. Right? So, do we move on? Autonomy doesn't happen only because one day we are inspired. Many people believe that if I feel inspired, of course, I've got that day and I will promote autonomy. Learners do not want to go back once they start being autonomous. And that is one of our problems. Not their problem, it's our problem.
And that there should be a plan to develop it gradually over a long period of time. We didn't write long, L-O-O-O-O-O-N-N-N-N-G, but we are aware that it is a long process, sometimes longer for us than for our students. We've been told to stop. So let us just show you. That idea is, as learners gain more space, the teacher, we have to cede the space to them. And that is often for us the most difficult part. Thanks for participating.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for a very inspiring presentation. Teamwork. We have time for questions now. Maybe. We have time for questions. In this. Yeah. Anything else? 10 minutes for questions.
You're still adjusting. So you're in crisis. Do you believe, honestly, that a teacher cannot be without being in crisis?
You must be in crisis if you're a teacher.
So it's good.
Yeah, definitely you have put us into a crisis here, but apart from that, yeah, because we couldn't see, and you heard that, we couldn't see the boxes, and you were very good over there. Now, your title was, Can Certain Aspects of Learner Autonomy be Consciously Decided Beforehand? Now, how does that relate to what we've been doing?
Right.
Good question.
Good question. As we always say, good question. Okay.
We all have the problem that we have to implement autonomy, learner autonomy. So the main point is, where do I start from? And you got 25 alternatives to start thinking of that. So that again is related. So if you're not imbalanced, if you're not in a crisis, you won't look for alternatives because you're so pleased that Nobody can tell you that you're right or wrong. I mean, I'm pleased and that's it. So you're ready to be retired, mentally retired. Not physically retired, mentally retired. Although you are 24, it doesn't really matter. But being in a crisis means, where should I start? And those 25 boxes are, it could be 50, it could be 80. These 25 boxes are different alternatives for you to start thinking of where to start. Sometimes learning autonomy is far too ample, is an enormous umbrella, and they need just a point, something to hang, and that is my vision there. Boom, once you start, you never go back.
But I just wanted to make emphasis on the idea consciously, in the sense that the 25 boxes, we think many times that we're not conscious as teachers, and this is very related to what Judith was talking about, the research she's doing, that we're not conscious of the way we're teaching, what we're saying to our students, the message we're sending them, and by consciously trying to think, how do I take any activity at all? This was one arbitrarily chosen. Any activity at all, what can I do with this activity to make it more autonomous for my learners? What are the ways it could be changed? And there are so many. But with the 25 boxes, what we think is that it helps you focus. So it's not, there's so many, I'm overwhelmed, I can't think of any. But, okay, which of these can I start to make myself conscious of what I'm doing, what I'm asking them to do, how I'm asking them to do it, with whom they're going to do it, etc., etc. The question is very deep. That's certainly true.
No, it becomes like.
But I'm rather talking about teacher autonomy than learner autonomy in the first place, because you said it's the conscious decision of the teacher, and then do the learners get the boxes, and can they change, or not? Do they know about the boxes?
Yeah, Leonhard brought this up this morning too, and he said, talking about learner being conscious of making decisions. In 25 minutes we decided we couldn't handle both teacher decision and learner decision. But in fact, in the CLIL session this afternoon, we're going to go much more into the whole aspect that Leonhard brought up this morning of the students making decisions and how important it is to have students doing self and and assessment of the class, of the teacher, all the time, to get the students conscious of the decisions they're making and what they're doing.
But you have to start in order to, either one side or the other, teachers or learners. But why not you promoting it, making it possible? So we wanted just to share this first step. The second is obvious. By the way,
and they go together.
Referring conscious and subconscious. There are three mind levels. You see? Sorry. This is the unconscious part. Is the hidden part. The one that you normally close in a big circle, in barriers, to put barriers. Later on you add the subconscious one. The subconscious one is ready to be used. I mean, what a brilliant idea I had. That is subconscious. And later on you make it conscious. I mean, using the unconscious, the subconscious, you make it conscious. So you decide what to do and you find reasons for doing so. So that is exactly.
Because we think until you make the decision consciously, you can't control it. And this is true both for us as teachers and for our students. Unless we are conscious of what we're doing in the classroom, why we're doing it in the classroom. And this goes back again to its analysis of the language used in the classroom, that we're not conscious as teachers of what we're saying, of the decisions we make, and our students generally are not conscious of what we're doing, why we're doing it. Why are they doing it? Because the teacher told us to do it, and then we decide as students, am I going to do it or not? So the rebels say, I'm not going to do it because the teacher told me to do it. And I can't remember who brought it up yesterday, but as soon as you start giving those decisions to the students, they can't make that decision. They can't say anymore, I won't do it because the teacher didn't tell you to do it, you decided to do it. So if you don't do it, who are you rebelling against? The whole concept of rebellion. And it goes, it's frustrating for the students, of course.
For example, your self-liberation martyr is a way to put them in, making them conscious. What do you say? Is again, I'm sorry, Arantxa, yes, I'm sorry. Is again making them conscious of. Otherwise, they're not responsible if they're not conscious. How can you make them responsible if they're not conscious of what they're doing? It's your job. You're the mother hen, so protect me. That's it.
After it's become conscious and you've been working with that for a long time or for a period of time, that also becomes subconscious again. Okay. So it's again, so, but yeah.
So because they are interrelated. Even so they are placed, located. This is your conscious side, subconscious and unconscious side. See, so we've got it placed, so but they are interconnected.
So sorry to be rude, but I'm going to stop you here. Thank you very much for a very interesting talk.